Welcome back for another episode, Spirit Bus 33 fam. Jyotishamara here, once again, excited to take a little trip with you, expanding our consciousness, learning how to become our favorite versions of ourselves, living more in the now, all while embarking on this wild, wondrous earth experience. Join me almost each week as we evolve together, exploring Toltec, holistic, interdimensional, spiritual minded thinking and practices.
Your spiritual beings having a human experience.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for having this earth experience, same time as me. Thank you for embarking on this wild earth experience, remembering who you are. The remembering, the awakening, the healing journey. Wow. What did we sign up for, right? There's no warning labels. What would they sound like? Heal with us. Side effects may include isolation until alignment occurs, temporary confusion, inability to mask when otherwise expected to be obedient, intense emotional reactions, desire for unhealthy escapism, intermittent confusion, resulting in the ability to see signs, directions, and many synchronicities that pave a specific path for you that might not make sense to others. Realization that you have been masking, attempt to unmask, remasking, masking intermittently to finally creating surroundings that there is no mask. Intense emotional reactions, awareness of intense emotional reactions, unlearning, relearning, intense emotional reactions less often, avoiding places where emotional reactions can occur, exposing yourself to places where they can occur, realizing unhealthy escapism methods, rewiring, realizing more unhealthy escapism methods, discovery of what is underneath the escapism, resulting in extreme discomfort, pain, physical and emotional, detox, emotional and physical, learning healthy methods, relearning, sitting in discomfort, taking naps, drinking more water, moving your body in strange positions to help ease the discomfort, repetitive patterns in relationships, awareness of these patterns, oversharing, undersharing, isolating, overextending, practicing balance, realization that the only one that can save you is you, being extremely protective of your energetic field. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this with me. What are we doing? Okay, let's take that quick moment. Let's do that much needed body scan from the top of your head down to your toes. Check in on that aura. Notice what's feeling out of alignment, what's in alignment. Take a moment perhaps to sit in some gratitude. What's going right? What's working well? There needs to be an adjustment. Do so. Do you need to sit up straight? Maybe take your hat off. Allow some air in. This week's trip is dedicated to a vibey sister. She's being a G, throwing in a much needed topic, abandonment of self. Here it goes. We could say that the first act of abandonment is when we enter this earth experience. We've abandoned all knowledge on what is happening to step into this vulnerable space. Childhood, teenage years, we are directly and indirectly told who to be, who not to be. At some point, we start to question the all knowing caretakers and go on the journey of abandoning the conditioned self. For some, this process it's mild, it's PG rated. For others, well, you might need to attach a warning label on the details as it really might disturb reality. Then the creating of another self begins. This one's brain is not fully developed, but the body looks adult, or at least the perception of it does. Playing big people games begins. This chapter, in my opinion, varies on childhood experiences. I really like the ACEs assessment to help demonstrate adverse childhood events that might make this chapter, well, probably a little reckless. Using the ACEs as an example, the higher the score, the more likely trauma responses. More trauma responses, the higher chance of some complex PTSD symptoms, which includes reckless and destructive behaviors, negative view of self, and many more symptoms, including you probably won't remember most of this chapter. Then the brain becomes fully grown, and some aha moments start to form. Maybe this isn't healthy. Maybe I deserve more. Maybe I want more. Maybe I don't agree with the people around me. Maybe I think different. And then the process of learning, remembering, awakening begins with some bouts of abandonment. See, after these adverse events happen in our life, our brain becomes wired different. It isn't just an easy, now I'm healed, new me, positive vibes. No. The grit begins. The warning labels from the beginning set in. The journey begins to the depths of the rawest version of yourself. And then when the brain and the body can't take it, we abandon ourselves. We become the traumatizer to ourselves and others. Then we lift out again. We go deep into our shadow work, and the light starts to shine, and then we start to vibe. We start to feel better. The traumatized self, it starts to feel this uncomfortability, this safety. So then we abandon ourselves again for the next high, for a person, a food, a drug, judgment. So this process, it can be grimy and so obvious, or it can be masked so well that others would be shocked to even know what's going on. The idea of abandoning self can be displayed as a perpetual habit, ignoring your needs, people pleasing, being controlled, destructive patterns. But it can also be a very significant part of the spiritual journey. In Toltec wisdom, to abandon self is more about releasing the false, inaccurate self. It's a collection of these societal norms, agreements that limit our authentic freedom of expression. If we were to look at abandoning ourselves only through the lens of harm to self, we would miss the abandoning of our false self, which is the self that harms ourselves to begin with. So therefore, to embrace ourselves, we must abandon ourselves. We must abandon the false self, the self that destructs. The question is, how far are you going to take it? How far do you want to go? What do you want to do, or I should say, who do you want to be during your Earth experience? A quote from Greg Thompson. You have so many layers that you can peel away a few, and everyone's so shocked and impressed that you're bearing your soul. While to you it's nothing because you know you have 20 layers to go. Well, I don't really agree with the entirety of this quote, especially the part that says, well, to you it's nothing, because every layer to me has been pretty extraordinary, sometimes a downright miracle. But I do like the parts of that the layers continue. So, how many layers do you want to abandon? That is the question. As you abandon one, do you recognize that there is another one right there to say, hi, I'm the authentic self? But yet you notice destructive patterns within that self. So you abandon. You notice conditioning, so you abandon. There's another layer, another layer. And I do think it gets a little tricky. Some of them are so obvious, right? Like, if you're kind of, bent over behind the dumpster, doing whatever, okay, that one, I'm not reading from the script right now. But, if some of them can just get gritty, some of them can just, you can know, I need to get my shit together. Like, some of them are so obvious, but others, they're more tricky. And as you peel back layer, they're not as easy to see, especially through the spiritual journey, is we can start to step into like these illusions of I'm healed. I've got it all together. I've got it down. There's no concern here. For those of us on this spiritual journey, on whatever title you use, this awareness journey, this remembering, is when you think you have it all figured out, there is normally a pretty big lesson coming your way. So this idea of layers, I don't think it stops. I wouldn't want it to. I want this to keep going. I don't know about you, those of you that are seeing the veil gets thinner, the synchronicities get more amazing. Yes, the mud gets a little deeper and you have to walk out and, wring out your panties and such, start over again. But it is the most beautiful process of remembering who you are and realizing that we're not alone. We have a whole team and probably then some. If we're mindful and we slow down, we're guided in so many amazing ways. So for this reading, because it was a requested topic, I'm going to read each card for this reading straight out of the Osho book. Okay, so first card, New Vision. The figure on this card is being born anew, emerging from earthbound roots and growing wings to fly into the unbounded. The geometric shapes around the body of the figure show the many dimensions of life simultaneously available to him. The square represents the physical, the manifest, the known. The circle represents the unmanifest, the spirit, pure space. The triangle represents the threefold nature of the universe, manifest, unmanifest, and the human being who contains both. Now you are presented with an opportunity to see life in all its dimensions, from the depths to the heights. They exist together. And when we come to know from experience that the dark and the difficult are needed as much as the light, then we begin to have a very different perspective on the world. By allowing all of life's colors to penetrate us, we become more integrated. Second card, the Lovers. What we call love is really a whole spectrum of relating, reaching from the earth to the sky. At the most earthly love, love is sexual attraction. Many of us remain stuck there because our conditioning has burdened our sexuality with all kinds of expectations and repressions. Actually, the biggest problem with sexual love is that it never lasts. Only if we accept this fact can we really celebrate it for what it is. Welcome, it's happening. And say goodbye with gratitude when it's not. Then, as we mature, we can begin to experience the love that exists beyond sexuality and honors the unique individuality of the other. We begin to understand that our partner often functions as a mirror, reflecting unseen aspects of our deeper self and supporting us to become whole. This love is based in freedom, not expectation or need. Its wings take us higher and higher towards the universal love that experiences all as one. Last card, Silence. The silent mirror like repetitiveness of a star filled night with a full moon is reflected in the misty lake below. The face in the sky is deep in meditation, a goddess of the night who brings depth, peace, and understanding. Now is a very precious time. It will be easy for you to rest inside, to plumb into the depths of your own inner silence to the point where it meets the silence of the universe. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go, and the quality of your inner silence permeates everything you do. It might make some people uncomfortable, accustomed as they are used to all the noise and activity. Never mind. Seek out those who can resonate with your silence or enjoy your aloneness. Now is the time to come home to yourself. The understanding and insights that come to you in these moments will be manifested later on in a more ongoing phase of your life. I think these cards are perfect, but I always think Osho's cards are perfect. So I'll leave it up to you. Leave a comment. Engage if you've made it this far. If you just took a little trip, you took a seat on this bus, reach out. My link is in the bio. You can request a topic. Thanks again, G, for requesting this. It was a good journey thinking about abandonment, self-abandonment in many different ways, which now for me, I will always think of it in a more positive light than originally as a negative. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.